The last thing that I want to do is just talk a little bit about is not a number and parse int and all those different kind of things. In my notes, it talks about them briefly, and then I want to demonstrate them. Is not a number is not a number. Notice the capitalization. Is a Boolean function that returns true or false. Checks to see if what you sent it, the string, is a number or not. The empty string evaluates to false. It's not a number. What's bizarre, however, in other words, I'm sorry, it is a number. Empty string is evaluated as a number. However, if you try to parse that, it chokes. So you have to be a little bit careful about some of these weird things. And Murak even has some more on pages 276 and 7 of other weird things that JavaScript does with numbers that we have to deal with. So what I want to do up here in my on submit button is just ask the user to enter their age and then display it and parse it. Okay. So let's just test it this way. Notice here's a post-test loop. Go through it at least once, ask for the age, while false. That's never true, so it immediately exits, just a temporary holding place. And then I'm going to parse it and display it. Broke it. Did I turn that into it? No, here it comes. Okay. So I'll put in an age. All of a sudden my machine's come to a crawl, but we'll deal with it. And then on the page it displays it. Now what I want to do is put some logic in here to say if it's not a number, make them do it again. So if is not a number of the age that the user entered. So if it's not a number, make them do it again. This is a Firefox feature. Dialog boxes pop up a lot. Firefox gives you the option of preventing them from this page. So don't click that checkbox. Otherwise you don't get to see any more dialog boxes from that page. But what happens if I leave this blank? It's really bizarre because my while loop said while it's not a number, keep looping. And then is not a number, and then parse said it's not a number.
Should have brought you back to the pop-up box. Right?
You would think so, wouldn't you? Except it's not the way that the is not a number function works. The is not a number function, as my notes designate, is not a number. Empty string evaluates to false. It is a number. Is not a number is false, so it is treated as a number. However, int parse treats it as not a number. So those two functions are not really consistent with each other. So what I have to do is, and one more thing I want to test, if I can. What happens if I press cancel? The OK button in this prompt, you have to understand how the prompt works. The OK button returns an empty string if you don't type anything in. The cancel button returns null. But it's still left, right? So null in my is not a number function also came out true. Or came out false, excuse me. It is a number. And then he tried to parse it. So that's kind of ugly. So what we have to do is get a little more elaborate in here and say if it's not a number or the age equals the empty string or the age equals null. Because the empty string and the null are not the same. But both of those, as we just saw, the empty string and null, cause this condition to become false. which is a little bizarre, a little confusing, but it's something that you have to recognize. And so now in my while loop, I want to say, nope, I don't want blank, and nope, I don't want null, or maybe I do want null. Right? Null means they press cancel. They change their mind. They don't want to do this. So we're going to have to handle that. But first of all, let's check this to see if it lets me loop. Click on OK, not happy. Click on cancel, not happy. Type in some junk, not happy. Type in some junk, press cancel, still not happy. Type in a number, now it's happy. Does it recognize numbers with decimal places? Should. Why did it strip the decimal places off? Because I parsed it as an integer. Okay.
But if you type a number in and hit cancel.
Pardon me?
If you type a number in and hit cancel.
Type a number in and hit cancel. The cancel button always returns no. So what if I want to allow the user to get the heck out of here? Cancel it. Well, then I have to be a little smarter, right? I want to allow the loop to end on null, but down here I want to say if age is not equal to null, then do this stuff. Else do something like
You deleted a semicolon in line 23.
Thank you. So let's give that a shot. Submit. Still can't enter text. Still can't enter an empty string. I can enter a number. That works. But if I press cancel, I get the message saying it's canceled. But the kicker there is recognizing what the prompt function returns to you when you use it. Now, not a lot of web pages prompt, right? Why would a web page prompt for information on the fly? Who knows? But it's great for testing and it's great for your homework assignment, and so now you know how to check to make sure that the user has actually entered a number. I've managed my way through my notes. So let's pick a due date for the assignment. Let's go take a quick look at it. Go away. We must be doing good because I seem to remember last year we were doing Halloween assignments after Halloween, and we're well ahead of Halloween here, so we're doing okay. So here's the assignment for the JavaScript basics. There is a starter here if you want to take a look at it. I get a copy of the starter. It says from the iDrive. I thought I changed that. In the window on load, use innerHTML. Well, that's one we haven't taken a look at. If there was already a tag someplace, you can use the innerHTML command to change what's inside it. Now, I didn't demonstrate that, so that's not fair. Let's do it. So in this page now, I have an H1 that maybe I want to change. Well, if I want to reference it in JavaScript, I have to give it an ID. Then in onload is what that said, or on the button. I'm going to put it in the button, I think. Now my control Q is not working again. Did we somehow lose my language, or I switched files? Okay.
Sorry, what did you do for the ID?
I just gave it ID equals title, whatever you want to call it. Right? Now here, I want to change the contents of what's in between that tag. That's not text. Text only works for options in radio buttons and list boxes and stuff like that. If I want to get to the contents of a tag, so I want to get to the contents of my title tag, inner HTML. I can never remember how to capitalize this. My notes, it says all caps, so it's not my notes but the assignment. Let's try that. Inner HTML equals so again, that's on submit versus on load. I could have done it in on load, it would have changed it right away. But here we'll see it be one thing and then change. As long as I don't do a document write line, it shouldn't wipe out my page. So you can change things on the page, on the fly, as you go. If it's a tag and you want to change its inner HTML. So back to the assignment now that you know how to do that. Okay. This title will disappear when you start the testing. The reason the title disappears is because you're doing document write lines and other things. Add JavaScript to test question 2. There's a function built in there in the basics.js file. I've been typing all my JavaScript in here for testing purposes. That way we don't have to bounce back and forth between different files. In the sample starter, there's already a JS file that's linked into the main page. So your JavaScript is separate. Go in there, you'll find a function that creates an unordered list where each item contains a number and a message that designates whether it's even or odd. This list should contain numbers from 1 to a number entered by the user. I would use a prompt. And I just showed you a loop for how to make sure it's a number. Because if you're supposed to generate the numbers from 1 to 20 and the user gives you a Voker, what are you going to do? Preferably yell at them and say, that's not a number, try again. They give you nothing, what are you going to do? If they give you cancel, they change their mind. They don't want to see a list of numbers. So there's an example. 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, and so on. Hint, hint, use modules. Question number 3. Repeatedly prompts the user to enter the name of a Halloween character, either a ghost, a bat, or a witch. You can use your own characters if you wish. But in Unit 9, we're going to do images, etc. So really what all this does is it asks the user, what'd you see while you're trick-or-treating? A bat, a witch, another bat, 2 more witches, another bat, until the user types the word done, then the loop quits. So this is using, again, the prompt and counting as it goes and then display everything when you're done. We're going to continue on with this in Unit 9. Actually adding images to those, and we'll create little bar graphs that say you saw 3 bats, and so we'll throw pictures of 3 bats up there. So that's where we're going in Unit 9, talking more about functions in that unit. So let me download this just to make sure everything's still cool. Go back. Here's the assignment starter. Page nuts. It's what? It's on OneDrive? Good thing because it's not here. Darn, could fix that one. And hopefully this is still the right one. So here's the assignment starter. The index file doesn't have much in it. Most of the work will be done here in the basics.js file. So you open that up in Notepad. And here, this is all done already. Right? And you can comment stuff out if you want. But here's question number 2. You write code in here. Here's question number 3, you write code in there. The main form will display that result for you. Notice there's not much there, there's just a title with nothing in between. That's why you're putting that text in the innerHTML to put something in between there. I lied, I didn't link the JavaScript in, so I guess you're going to have to link the JavaScript in, but that's part of this unit, so that shouldn't be too bad. And basics has a window on load. So basically telling that page when you load, run test question 2, test question 3, and whatever you're supposed to do for test question, 1 was put the title in there. But as you start document right-lining the results, you may lose that title, it depends.
You want us to use that?
You don't have to. How else should you do it? Oh, you put but this is a function, so it's supposed to go inside of here, so this has to be JavaScript.
In the HTML, just put a list and then generate an unordered list inside of there. With an ID, with an ID.
I don't think I need you to change the HTML.
Okay.
But you can write the JavaScript to generate HTML. And then your title might go away, but that's okay. So there's a little time left if you want to get started on this. As I promised you in my email, I'll give you a lab on Wednesday. Got a due date for this?
Halloween.
A week?
Sure.
There's a week from, screw up your weekend, a week from today? Sounds like a plan.
School.
You're in lab.
Alright, I'm having an issue with that do while loop.
Hang on a second.